3 months after he was forced by the government to go on leave, Alok Verma is back as the director of the CBI. The Supreme Court today, in a move to shield the CBI against political interference, quashed the orders by the Central Vigilance Commission and the government Department of Personnel and Training and reinstated Verma at the helm of the investigative agency. But there is a caveat. Verma cannot take any major policy decisions until the selection panel, which comprises the Prime Minister, the Leader of the Opposition and the Chief Justice of India, decide on his status. And this decision will be taken within a week. Alok Verma's term ends later this month. We discuss the fine print of the judgment with our panel. Narendra Taneja, BJP spokesperson, joins us on the program. Also with us, Adil Singh Boparai, the Congress spokesperson, Shantonu, former Joint Director of the CBI, and Prashant, Bhushan, public interest lawyer at the Supreme Court, Vikas Singh, senior advocate. First up, a quick check of the political and legal reactions to this major development in the CBI versus CBI saga.
सीबीआई के चीफ को 1 बजे रात को निकाला। क्यों निकाला? क्योंकि सीबीआई के चीफ राफेल पे इंक्वायरी शुरू करना चाह रहे थे। अब सीबीआई चीफ रीइंस्टेट हो गए हैं, तो थोड़ा तो न्याय मिला।
In accordance with the directions of the court, obviously they will be complied with, and the government would act in the same manner.
The only issue that is left outstanding is whether after reinstatement and after the matter goes to the committee, for the days that the director CBI could not function as a director CBI in his full capacity, whether those days will be excluded and a full 2-year term will be given to him.
उनको रिस्टोर करने के बाद भी उनकी पावर पूरी तरह से रिस्टोर नहीं करी गई है.
Restoring the CBI director Alok Verma and quashing the illegal and conspiratorial decision of Modi government is a slap on the policies and decisions of Modi government.
There are very serious issues regarding the very functioning of the agency, and therefore has said that he will function but will not take policy decisions until the selection committee will then finally take a call on the matter.
Alok Verma को सर सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने reinstate कर दिया.
मुबारक हो.
It was in obedience of the order passed by the CVC that this particular decision has been taken. Now Supreme Court has taken another decision while awaiting the CVC order that will be abided by.
Reactions coming in there. Let's quickly go across to Prashant Bhushan. Mr. Bhushan, many thanks for joining us. Let me start by asking you whether this now unambiguously puts to rest any question marks whether Section 8 of the CVC Act can have any superintendence over the functioning of the Central Bureau of Investigation. That safeguard has unequivocally been set by the Supreme Court today, has it not?
Yes, it has been. They have said that it's very clear that both the Supreme Court judgment and Vinit Narayan as well as the law that was made consequent to that have insulated the functioning of the CBI director from executive interference, and therefore it has interceded this high-powered committee of Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition and Chief Justice, without whom you cannot touch the director. So therefore that position, that legal position has been made very clear by the Supreme Court.
But I want to talk to you about the caveat that comes along with his reinstatement. And I quote to you from the judgment, which of course you're aware of, but for the benefit of our viewers. And it says on page 43, we deem it proper to direct the petitioner Alok Verma upon reinstatement will cease and desist from taking any major policy decisions till the decision of the committee permitting such actions and decisions becomes available within the time frame indicated. We further make it explicit that the role of the petitioner during the interim and in terms of this order will be confined only to the exercise of the ongoing routine functions without any fresh initiatives having no major policy or institutional implications. What is your understanding of what this means? Can Alok Verma, for instance, file an FIR? Can he initiate a preliminary inquiry? Is any of that even possible, given what the Supreme Court has said?
Yes, in my view, he can, because this is a routine function of the CBI, that is, registering FIRs, proceeding further with investigations, taking final decisions about filing charge sheets, etc. This is the routine functioning of the CBI. Now, policy decision could be well, wholesale transfers out of the CBI, wholesale transfers into the CBI, could be some other issues of policy. But certainly this cannot by any circumstances mean that the CBI director cannot even take routine decisions. And these are clearly routine decisions, registering FIRs, etc.
Okay, let me get another point of view. That's your interpretation, but let me get Shantonu Sen, former CBI man, in on this. Mr. Sen, what is your understanding on the back of what we've heard from the Supreme Court in this matter today, and what we've actually seen the interim director, Mr. Nageshwar Rao, do, even though the Supreme Court had passed exactly the same orders for Mr. Rao as well? In fact, the Supreme Court had very categorically stated that no policy decisions should be taken by the interim director. So what is your understanding? Will Alok Verma, now that he's been reinstated, be able to initiate a preliminary inquiry or an FIR?
Alok Verma's position virtually is the same as if he was on leave. He is not given the powers of the director. What the CBC and the government has done, the Supreme Court has virtually maintained, but very, very wisely, the Supreme Court has protected the institution. In my view, Supreme Court has differentiated between Alok Verma and the institution. In respect of the institution, the Supreme Court's view is that you cannot tinker with it. Once appointed, his tenure is final, and if he's acting within the law, you will not in any way impinge upon his authority. However, in this particular case, Alok Verma has been castigated by the CBC in certain matters, and that the Supreme Court has maintained. Therefore, superintendence of the CBC, in my view, is maintained, because Supreme Court upholds that he deserves an inquiry. Supreme Court only lays down, and very correctly, that that inquiry will not be ordered by the CBC, but that inquiry would be ordered by the committee which appointed him to the post. Supreme Court has gone into the Vineet Narayan case and very clearly said the committee is supreme. CBC should have referred the matter to the committee and not to the government. This distinction has been made very clear, and it is a very good thing. The government will have no power. The CBC will supervise. CBC will refer it to the committee. So the superintendence of the CBC remains in respect of the investigations being done by the CBI under him. But it has no right to transfer him.
But not when it comes to divestiture.
Impinge upon his authority.
Exactly.
That will be...
Exactly.
Yes,
absolutely.
But
absolutely. The CBC and the government of India are not entitled to divest the director of his powers. Yes, you're absolutely right. On powers of investigation, yes, but not in terms of powers of divestiture.
That right is of the committee only.
That's right. Narendra Taneja, if I could ask you, and we've had you on this show discussing this very issue, and you had vociferously defended the government's move of removing Alok Verma. In fact, the finance minister had done a press conference on that very day saying that it was absolutely essential, this move, to restore the agency's institutional integrity and credibility. In light of what the Supreme Court has said today, do you acknowledge that it was wrong on the part of the government to remove Alok Verma in the manner in which it did?
First of all, the government didn't remove him. I don't think remove is the right word. He was sent on leave. There's a huge difference between removal and a person being sent on leave. The second thing is that the government did what the government did on the recommendation of CBC, an autonomous organization. I mean, here the government was caught between the two autonomous organizations, CBC and CBI. And it was the recommendation of CBC. The government acted. The Supreme Court, the view we have seen it, and of course it's a very balanced view. And the Supreme Court has taken the view that we all know it. That's what we are discussing. And we respect it, and everything, of course, it will be complied with. Absolutely no doubt about it. And we respect it. And it's a very balanced view, as we said, because this was an extraordinary situation. And therefore, the government, had to take in kind of extraordinary remedy. And, as part of government, typically takes 300 to 400 executive decisions every day. And so there was this situation where we saw head of this prestigious organization, two gentlemen fighting with each other, quarreling. And it was like a plane, and the pilot and the co-pilot start quarreling. So you had to do something. So that's what the government did, in the interest of the organization, in the interest of the credibility of the organization. That was all. The government otherwise was neutral that time and stands neutral even today. These are two autonomous organizations. Now the government court has come out with a view, and the court has given its own kind of directive, and it's good because then it will be done accordingly. That's it. Now government stand neutral on the issue.
Okay, the government now stands neutral. The government was always neutral. They welcome the Supreme Court order, will comply with the Supreme Court order. Adil Singh Boparai, spokesperson of the Congress party, this has been an issue that your party has been raising and been speaking out against. You're listening into the comments here. What do you make of the Supreme Court verdict? At the end of the day, does it change things at all, given the caveats that the Supreme Court has attached along with the reinstatement of Alok Verma?
Well, first and foremost, the Congress party's position today stands vindicated. And I'd like to jog your memory to what the BJP and Mr. Sen had said when this entire issue had broken out, that forced leave does not tantamount to transfer. The Congress party at that point in time had quoted the Vineet Narayan judgment, had said that this virtually amounts to transfer, this amounts to divesting of authority, and the BJP continued to peddle a false narrative. Today we stand vindicated on that point, point number one. Point number two, the order passed by the CVC, the order passed by the DOPT have been struck down by the Honorable Supreme Court. If Mr. Modi has an iota of constitutional morality left, I think he must resign. This is point number two. Point number three, let's understand, this country today is facing institutional decay. It's not just the CBI. You have Joint Directors ED levelling allegations of corruption against the former Revenue Secretary. You have RBI governors resigning. You have 4 judges of the Supreme Court coming out in the open and saying that democracy is in peril. We are witnessing a fascist moment in the evolution of our country. And this is all because of Mr. Narendra Modi and Amit Shah, who want to demolish every institution in this country. I think it is a telling reminder by the Supreme Court to Mr. Modi that do not play around with institutions. And lastly, coming to the point of major policy decisions, as has been indicated in the Supreme Court judgment, I think Mr. Bhushan is spot on. Major policy decision means transfers. It doesn't mean routine work. Even during Nageshwar Rao's tenure, this 2 months tenure, closure reports and charge sheets were being filed. Therefore, this does not preclude Mr. Alok Verma from launching investigations or PEs. I think facts must be placed on record, and I would certainly expect a greater degree of objectivity from the likes of Mr. Shantonu Sen today.
Okay, well, I'll get to Shantanu Sen in just a second, but I believe Narendra Taneja wants to come in. Mr. Taneja, go ahead. You wanted to respond there to Adil Boparai, who accuses the BJP of causing institutional decay, not just the CBI, but across institutions, including the RBI.
I think the Congress spokesperson was probably referring to 75 and 76 when the Constitution was suspended and practically all institutions of the country were sent into Tihar jail. Probably he's referring to that period. And you see, it's important to remember that when the Supreme Court came out with this decision or the view today, it's the greatness of our institutions. And Bharatiya Janata Party and government, for all these institutions are sacrosanct for us. And we did what we did in the interest of the CBI only, in the interest of the credibility of CBI. It was. And secondly, just the last point, and the Congress chief spokesperson said he saw conspiracy and that. The problem is whatever issue comes up, for them to run down the institutions and to talk the way they talk. It was the same Supreme Court which called CBI caged parrot. Cage means in prison, and parrot means somebody or someone who is basically reading from the script written by the government. That was the view of the Supreme Court with regard to the CBI when the Congress was in power. Supreme Court is talking completely different today. So see the difference. Supreme Court is respecting this government, why that government was accused for putting CBI in the cage.
3 orders have been struck down.
No, the Supreme Court has struck down your orders, sir. Your orders have been struck down. So let's stick to the facts, at least in these matters. But let me bring in Vikas Singh. Sir, your government defended that decision as well. Your government advocated that decision also. So
DOPT order has also been struck down. Headed by the Prime Minister.
Struck down as well. Let me go back across to Prashant
but
Bhushan
it was on the
if we still have him
recommendation
on
of
the
CBC.
program.
There was a due process.
Sure. Well, I don't know whether due process was followed because that has been struck down. But sir, that the Supreme Court has struck it down for the lack of due process, Mr. Taneja. But Prashant Bhushan.
The Supreme Court has gone through everything.
Yeah, exactly, and they have struck it down for the lack of, they're striking it down for violating due process, sir. Prashant Bhushan, I want to come back again to this issue of what can Alok Verma do, whatever time he has in office till the end of this month, and of course, pending that committee meeting, which is expected within a week's time. Now, if you look back at what we've seen happen with the interim CBI director, just as an example, on the 2nd of January, the FIR filed in the alleged UP illegal mining scam will that be seen as a routine function? Will that be seen as a policy decision? Because the same strictures or caveats applied to the interim CBI director as well. So the question then once again is, what can Alok Verma do while he is in office?
Yeah, he can certainly do all the work which is part of the routine functioning of the CBI. Everything that is mentioned in the CBI manual, which includes registering preliminary inquiries, registering FIRs, filing charge sheets, taking decisions about who should represent the CBI in court, even which officer should be in charge of which investigations, etc. This is part of the routine functioning of the CBI director. Major policy initiatives these are certainly not major policy initiatives. These are part of the routine functions. If they wanted to divest him of his routine function, they would have said that we are not restoring him.
Sir, I go back again to the judgment, because the judgment says exercise of ongoing routine functions without any fresh initiative.
Yeah. Any fresh initiatives means what? Policy initiatives. It can't mean that. What is a fresh initiative? There is a complaint pending before the CBI director. There are complaints which keep coming in before the CBI. Does that mean that all those have to wait? That no FIRs would be registered by the CBI, no preliminary inquiries would be registered by the CBI, no charge sheets will be filed by the CBI. So certainly then they would have said that he would not function as the director. That's it, till such time that the high-powered committee examines it.
Yeah. So Shantonu Sen, is there merit to the argument that we're hearing both from Prashant Bhushan as well as Adil Boparai that, that what is as per CBI manual routine functions of an investigative agency, why should Alok Verma not be able to go through with some of those?
I concede that I was in error when I said CBC had the authority to remove him. I presume that CBC as an autonomous body supervising the CBI had that authority. Now the Supreme Court says CBC does not have an authority. That authority is with the committee. In this case, please recall, the government itself did not do the action. It took the advice of the CBC. Now that body is not competent according to the Supreme Court. That doesn't mean that our understanding was inferior. The government decided to obey the CBC. Now regarding the powers of the director, now this is an arena which is new. Director will always be in a predicament. Whatever is recommended from below and which is not initiated by him, probably he will comply with. But the director has powers of his own. He can issue directions without any reference from below to him. Probably those areas he will
Exactly the point.
He will not take any initiative of his own. He will only do whatever is recommended from below. And that is where he will stop. So he has been actually manacled by the Supreme Court. by the Supreme Court.
Okay.
And that is what
all right.
The government virtually did by sending him on leave. Says the difference is he is there,
okay, so you're
without
basically
powers. And the government sent him on leave.
Sure.
Sent him on leave. So the difference
I'm just coming to you, Adil. I'm just coming to you. So you're
and the inquiry the inquiry will continue. That is very important. The inquiry has not been stopped.
Yes, the inquiry will continue. No, it has not been stopped. Adil Boparai, the inquiry has not been stopped, but Shantonu Sen saying that this virtually is almost like status quo, the situation prior to his reinstatement and being sent on leave, and we even post the Supreme Court verdict. That is the understanding of Shantanu Sen.
Well, with due respect, Mr. Sen's understanding is flawed. Let's test this. If we are to understand that the CBI director cannot take major policy decisions, are we to say that the CBI for the next 20-25 days goes into suspended animation? Are we to understand that assuming there is a case of corruption, the CBI's hands are tied? That cannot be the dictum or the rationale of the Supreme Court judgment. When you say major policy decision, that means lock, stock or wholesale transfers, like Mr. Bhushan has pointed out. When you say policy matters, it relates to those issues which affect the CBI in toto, not routine administrative work, not routine investigation work, not registering PEs, not filing charge sheets, not filing closure reports. And secondly, and this is most critical because this affects us as a polity, we're a country which is governed by the rule of law. We're not a country which is going to be governed by the women caprice of the emperor. I think the BJP needs to understand this.
All right. In fact, just for the benefit of our viewers, in one of the first orders of Nageshwar Rao, who was brought in when Alok Verma was sent on leave, was to remove the team that was probing the bribery case against Rakesh Asthana. In fact, Ajay Bassi, the information officer, Manish Sinha, the deputy IG, were transferred. And then the Supreme Court had come out and said the decisions taken by Mr. Rao from the 23rd of October to date shall not be implemented. So that's important to note as well. Narendra Taneja, final comments to each one of you. The Supreme Court making it clear that the manner in which Alok Verma, and you can call it a transfer, you can call it being sent on leave, but the manner in which he was divested of his powers were wrong, was a violation of what is law.
No. The question is that, first of all, Supreme Court made it very clear that inquiry will go on, will continue. The second point, which is important, very clearly, Mr. Sen is talking about it, and that's also my view, that there was ambiguity in terms of in such extraordinary situation, what do you do? You see, there was nothing written, there was nothing, there was no precedence. Now, CVC recommended and the government acted on that recommendation. Now we have the view of the Supreme Court on the matter. And at the same time, Supreme Court has directed that you have to go back to the committee, high-powered committee. And out of that will come out further clarity and the direction. You see, this is how institutions sometimes function. When there is ambiguity, when there are, for instance, no written rules of how to deal with such extraordinary situation, you take a decision. At times,
sir, there is a Supreme Court judgment. There is a Supreme Court judgment, Mr. Taneja. No. There is a Supreme Court judgment that very clearly says so.
No, listen. No, Shereen, listen. But the point is that, the government took the view, and it was on the recommendation. It was on the recommendation of CVC. Supreme Court has not said that no inquiry. Is Supreme Court saying that? Is the Supreme Court saying, all right, this is the order, you continue not saying that? It's saying going back to the high-powered panel. What does it mean? And as far as you see, as I said, the government took the view on the recommendation of that in the best, interest of the organization. That was it was. It went to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court now has come out with a view, and we respect it. We stand neutral. And the final point is, CBI is not only about the director. CBI is about 6,000 people who work there.
Yes.
They are out of that 3,500 officers. CBI work nationally. The problem with the Congress is they see politics and everything because because it's a royal family thing. It's owned by a royal family, so they don't know that it's a democratic institution. And you need to respect the institution. For the sake of the first family, don't try to damage the institutions of the country. These are the institutions.
No. Let me.
You don't
I want to end this conversation because we're out of time. We're out of time. no, sir, unfortunately, we're completely out of time. Adil Boparai, what is it now going to mean from here on? Sir, we're completely out of time. Adil Boparai, in 10 seconds, what does it mean from here on?
I think Mr. Modi must resign, the CVC must resign, they must own up to responsibility. If the government is all about Mr. Modi, but the CBI is not about the director. This is the
shows
argument
how immature is this party.
And
they know nothing about politics. Nothing about democracy. How immature they are.
And there is the
Vinit
Narayan judgment.
Every day.
You know, your arrogance is going to take you down, Mr. Taneja. Your arrogance is going to take you down.
You are a small regional party. First learn.
Oh, really? You just lost 3 states. You just lost 3 states.
Your leader is immature. You are immature.
You just lost 3 states.
Gentlemen,
you are immature.
You are going to lose. Your arrogance is going to be the reason for your decline.
Mr. Taneja, Mr. Taneja and Adil, gentlemen,
you are frustrated.
Gentlemen, please, gentlemen, we're having. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna allow this to become. No, Mr. Taneja and Adil, Mr. Taneja, sirs, please. You know, this is meant to be a civil debate. It is meant to focus on substantive issues. It doesn't have to deform itself into. It doesn't need to deform into trading barbs, sir. Sir, please. I'm afraid we're completely out of time. Unfortunately, we're completely out of time. Mr. Taneja, I think we are free. I think we are free to decide who we call on the panels. Shantonu Sen, Narendra Taneja, and Adil Boparai, and Prashant Bhushan. Appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18. Thanks very much for watching. These are the implications of the Supreme Court order reinstating Alok Verma, but with caveats.